Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Wild Earth Safari this morning. My name is Mark. Daniel is with me on camera, and Seb in final control. And the three of us are going to try and bring you the best we can this morning here at Djuma Game Reserve. It's a really nice morning. Clear skies, not as cold as it has been on some mornings. Quite pleasant. Just been up on the termite mound, collecting a little piece of clay because, quite strangely, for this time of the year, there's actually some working on the top of that termite mound. Some very moist clay and a little bit exposed, and I'm sure there'll probably be birds pecking at it later. But I just don't know of termite mounds that get active at this time of the year. Normally they're quite far underground. So, what are we going to do today? Well, I think our priority is to head towards the area where we saw Karula yesterday at the end of our drive. I did see her tracks on Vuyatela Access Road heading west. I don't know whether that was maybe yesterday going to fetch the cubs, or after the kill, or what happened later yesterday. It doesn't look as though it is as long ago as yesterday morning, those tracks. But there were no drives out yesterday afternoon. There were no guests in the lodge, and consequently, I don't know what happened last night, or what was found yesterday afternoon. So we're going to go across the dam. We're going to go and have a look at that, and see if we can sniff around that little drainage line where the kill was. Karula killed a duiker, for those of you who don't know. We managed to arrive on the scene probably a minute or so, a couple of minutes afterwards, and we found drag marks. We followed the drag marks, and just before Karula disappeared into a drainage line, we managed to see her dragging a duiker, and with a little bit of maneuvering, we managed to get into a very tight spot to actually get a view of her for a few minutes. Hey, Hornbill. Hornbill's coming to peck at this termite mound, I'm sure, because it saw me up there too. So, let's get ready for a drive. Let's go and see what we can find. I'm going to just reverse and see if this hornbill comes down to this termite mound. Might still be a bit early. There were some zebra down the bottom end of the open area when I was standing on top of the termite mound. They were heading south, so they've probably moved. A bit shy. Pity this camera is so much higher than me, because from my angle much lower down, there are two Impala rams sparring, and there's a ridge here on the left of us on the open area, and against that pink sky. Oh, it's Bo. It's the little one with the skew horns. It'll be interesting to see him sparring. So from my lower angle, they're actually against the sky, not against the bush background. But that's still quite an amazing shot. Almost on the top of the ridge. A little ram called Bo. Well, I call him Bo. Ram. Bo. He's a funny little chap, that. No meaning to the sparring other than just testing each other and just oh, okay. A little bit too much energy for. Taking a shortcut across the open area. Morning, Cindy, reminding me about birds. Okay, Cindy, we'll do some birds. Morning, Richard and Lisa. I'd like to know a little bit more about the venomous and the non-venomous snakes of the reserve. Well, I'd say our most venomous snakes that we have here. Well, venomous snakes, I guess we could divide into 3 categories. And then we can divide them further into a further few categories. I've come across this way because there were some francolin shouting. And see what these impala are up to there. Oh, there's another, funny enough, a ram chasing a ewe. On the edge of the herd. There's quite a lot of chasing going on. It should be the end of the rutting season, so why are they going so crazy with it? And I think what we'll do is also just wait for the sun to rise while I'm chatting to you about. Well, we can also do that while I'm driving. Talk about slithering reptiles. Rejoining a bachelor group, these two. And I can hear geese down at the dam too. There they are, sparring again. Sorry, just was pan right. Go back to the left. I can hear their horns clashing from here. One called Bo and one called Bunctious. Come on, Bo, don't back off. Be offensive. Bless you. Right, they heard you. Come on, Bo, you got one horn pointing forward. You should be a formidable opponent because of that. Don't go behind the bush, boys. We want to watch this. Now, sometimes when there's a female on the line, or the sun, not the moon. Sun and sunrise. What do we see first? Let me see if I might have to go back a little bit just to get it on.
That's good.
Is that good? That's good. That's what I was thinking when I saw the glow behind the marula tree. Now, if we just had a lip or something, the third item. Here's our third item coming into our sunrise. Starling. It's just at about 10 o'clock to the sun, about an inch away. It's just a tiny little bird in a marula tree. Bye-bye, darling. Good morning, sunrise. Morning, sunshine. I wonder, just zoom out a sec. Different. 2 sunrises in one morning. He's complaining down at the dam, down at the lodge. People are a little too relaxed to be bothered. Okay, time to move. Daylight's getting to be almost an hour old already. And a waning crescent moon up in the sky, almost directly above us. It must have been last quarter yesterday. Night before last. Next week, new moon. So, Richard and Lisa, venomous snakes. I nearly said it. Not poisonous snakes. We don't have any poisonous snakes. I don't think there are any poisonous snakes in the world. Venomous snakes, however, another matter entirely. Now, talking about snakes will take some time, so I'm just going to answer excuse me, Bobby's question about oryx. No oryx in this part of the world, Bobby, although there is a self-contained reserve not too far from me that has oryx, but they don't belong there. They have been imported. I don't know why that landowner would have them there. They are very dry country animals. They don't only occur in places like the Kalahari, central Kalahari, and Namibia, and well, oryx don't occur in the Kruger. Gemsbok is what it's called in this part of the world. Oh. So our most venomous snakes that we have here are, I'd say, our 3 most venomous. The black mamba, one of the largest venomous snakes that we have. They grow up to about 8 feet, 8 to 10 feet. I think there has been a 12-foot specimen on record. Then there are two snakes that are also associated with trees. In fact, all 3 of them are. I mean, the mamba is called Dendroaspis, which means dendro referring to trees. What is your problem, Franklin? Such a story to tell this morning. Complaining bitterly. And then there's the boomslang and the vine snake, who are also tree dwellers. The one thing about all the different snakes, the venomous snakes in particular, you get those that have fixed fangs and those that have hinged fangs. Burns, hyena. Hyena. Oh, civet. See, that's what makes me think Karula must have gone through the lodge if she went to fetch her youngsters after she made that kill. And there are no tracks on this side of the dam. There's a hippo right here, it's gone underwater. Okay, so just another quick question coming through. Because snakes, I can talk about snakes for the rest of the morning. Almost. It's going to take long to answer that question. And quite a few questions lining up. But Shirley in New York, what do we eat in the reserve? Pretty much the same thing everybody eats, Shirley. We have groceries. Pretty much the same as what anybody would normally eat. The same things you eat at home. There are food suppliers that deliver food to all the lodges. We get food from them as well. We put in orders once a week. And every day, one of us, whoever's not working or not on drive, not associated with the drive in the afternoon, does the cooking. Now the guinea fowl are also complaining a little bit. Now things like the adders or vipers, adders that we have, puff adder, night adder, and those are the two main adder species that we have, night adder and the puff adder. They have hinged fangs. The cobras, on the other hand, have fixed fangs. And the fixed fangs are a little bit smaller than the hinged fangs. I'm just looking at something very white on the top of that tree. It looks like an Asclepias, similar to the milkweed. A creeper that must be growing in that little... Oh, there's a leadwood and a buffalo thorn together. That's just the seeds. Those fluffy tops of the seeds. Of the venomous snakes, they also have different types of venom. Another thing to consider is that not all snakes have the same kind of venom. So, for example, the adders and one of the cobras that we get here, the Mozambique spitting cobra, they have a cytotoxic venom, which means it's tissue destroying. It causes very bad necrosis, tissue destruction. Elephant tracks, quite fresh. The other cobras are all more of a neurotoxin, like the black mamba, which is also a neurotoxin and attacks the nervous system. And then you get a hemotoxin, and that's the likes of the boomslang, which causes internal hemorrhaging. But they're not very aggressive snakes. I think the black mamba is one of them that is, maybe we could term it an aggressive snake. Very similar to dogs. You get some breeds of dog harm, like Labradors, golden retrievers and things. They are very mild-tempered. It takes a lot to rile them up. And then you get some dogs that are just naturally aggressive, and that would be like the black mamba. And then of course you get a lot of non-venomous snakes, and even amongst the non-venomous snakes you get snakes that are, but by nature they're irascible. They don't hesitate to bite. And this is where we saw Karula dragging her kill into this drainage line. We're going to keep our eyes open. We'll pause for a minute on the snakes. I know there are other questions lining up. We've got a time yet, but I just want to concentrate on seeing if we can see something in here. So far I haven't seen any hyena tracks to indicate that hyena managed to find the cats. Oh wait, there's something here. Sorry, Sebi broke out there. We got what? Draco with 3 leopard is not going to go very far. And it's possible that either she lost the kill to hyena, or they finished it and they've moved on. A couple of tambutis here, but tambutis are not the greatest trees to take a kill. Excuse me. Directly ahead of us is where everything happened. Well, where she ended up with it. But I'm not seeing any sign of anyone. Wistful thinking always, I guess, that she would still be here with the cubs. Okay, I'm in my head about 3 questions behind. I hope I'm going to remember everything. We'll get back to snakes in a minute because we've got to get through some shorter questions. And Richard and Lisa, talking about snakes is a great thing to do, but I just get so distracted when when I'm concentrating on something and I can't answer anybody because I've got to listen, think about what I'm doing. We had a question about meerkats. I think it was Donna. Meerkats, do we have meerkats in Southern Africa? See, there are leopard tracks here going back towards the drainage line. Donna, yes, surrogates also in the dry western regions of the country, not in this part of the world. Although I have to tell you, a meerkat is also a generic name. It's a sort of a name that people give to any of the mongoose or even slender mongoose. I think are referred to erroneously as meerkats, but yes, the meerkat being the suricate only in the dry western regions of the country, not in the Kruger. Christine, my favorite wildlife movie, animal movie, I don't know, I'll have to think about that. Whale Rider was pretty poignant. I don't know. Anything by Attenborough. One of the leopards got muddy feet, and so did a hyena. There's a little bit of water in a little mud wallow there. So there are leopard tracks coming in to the kill site. Let's go down towards the rooms, down into the bottom there and see if we can see anything there. Otherwise we might have to just go and do a big loop. Just looking around, just in case they're around. It'd be nice to see them. It's only us, can't rely on guides and their trackers to help with the tracking. I think that's pretty much caught up with. Christine, yeah, that movie. Somehow my brain's not functioning very well in the cold mornings. Somehow this cat knows sometimes when there are no guests in the lodge, so she might have been hanging out on one of the decks again. Morning, Linda. Still on the subject of snakes. One of our past presenters evidently mentioned that vine snakes see in color. And Linda wants to know why would a vine snake see in color. She thought that snakes located their prey by locating a heat source. Not all snakes do, Linda. Most of the tree dwellers, they locate prey by movement. And most snakes see in color. In fact, most reptiles see in color. Not only the vine snake, but a lot of snakes see in color. Oh, guinea fowl complaining. This must have come down in the storm, this big knob storm. Totally ripped apart. What I find unusual is I'm not hearing the monkeys much anymore. Baboon tracks are around. I know the baboons were here probably around last night. I'm trying to find my way along the edge of the dam. Rule out the possibility that they're still around here somewhere. One of the rules, no, not so much a rule because there are always exceptions to the rule. But one of the things to remember about animals to some degree, if something has color, then obviously it sees color. When we look at the birds, the reptiles, the fish, they have intricate coloring and markings for a specific reason, particularly because they, oh, you know what? Somebody killed a heron. Quite recently. One of the grey herons that we see. I'm guessing it would have probably been one of the leopards that killed this heron. Oh, life and death in Africa. Feathers are spread out, not finding any bone except the breastbone. I'm guessing it must have been one of the leopards, if not the two little ones. That's why it's so pulled apart, so spread out. Speaking of little ones, don't know where they are. Don't know where they've gone. They might have gone back up towards Sandy Patch, or up to Buffalo's Cut Line, or maybe they even went south. Who knows? But no sign of them here. We'll carry on our drive. We can come back. We have to be back here at the dam later anyway. Something. So we'll make sure that by about 9 o'clock we come back to this area. Somehow Karula seems to be moving around mostly later in the morning rather than this early time. It's partly got something to do with the hyena activity, I think. So we carry on. Any Cheetah Plains vehicles out this morning? Little piece of snake skin. The tail end. Where my thumb is the end of the body, and that's where the tail begins. It's a very short tail. In my opinion, that's a female. Just judging by the length of the tail and the thickness of it. I'm not really sure what snake this was. But it wasn't a very long snake. With a very short tail in a tree. Interesting. Still francolins complaining around the lodge. I'm sure there's even a strong possibility that Karula's still around the lodge area. I've left that snake skin there because I want to see how it degrades. Come back here in a day or two after a bit of wind, and it's not very fresh. It would have been shed maybe a week ago or so. Snake skin doesn't last long. It gets very brittle and it starts breaking up. So we don't see many snake skins. You only find them when just shortly after they've been shed. But there are still snakes moving about this time of the year, even though it's midwinter almost. Well, The solstice, I guess, could be called midwinter, even though the temperatures don't feel like it. Let's take Central Road. Ah, snakes. Non-venomous snakes that we have here. The most harmless of snakes that we have two snakes. I suppose the most harmless is the very tiny thread snake or bootlace snake. Tiny little black snake with a very blunt head. It's smaller than a piece of spaghetti. Glossy little thing. Gorgeous little thing. And then the egg eater. I suppose you could say the blind snake, although the blind snake does have tiny little teeth. But the egg eater doesn't even have teeth. The egg eater is quite a unique snake. And then in the first few vertebrae, there's a serration in those vertebrae internally. That as the egg eater swallows an egg, constricts it, a bird's egg, and those internal serrations on the vertebra actually help to slice into the eggshell and allow those muscles of the egg eater to contract and crush the egg, releasing the contents into the stomach, and then the egg eater will regurgitate the calcium of the shell because it won't be able to digest it. We're on Gary Cut Line at the moment, getting north to Buffalo Cut Line. Then of course the largest snake that we will have here is the African rock python. Pythons grow big enough to eat adult impala. Hippo. Elizabeth, have we seen that elephant who we thought had a headache? No, we haven't seen him again. I don't know what happened to him. Might have just been the one day that he was behaving like that. But no, unfortunately, don't know what happened to him. Don't know why he was doing what he was doing. I need to look at photos to see if he was the same elephant that was involved in that fracas when there was that mating going on. I don't think it was the same bull. So Richard and Lisa, anything further on snakes? I mean, other than listing all the snakes that we get here. Morning D&J. How long will the Karula and the cubs stay together? How long will they stick around? Well, we've noticed with her previous two litters that up until about the age of 2, or maybe even from about 18 months old, they were starting to spend less and less time together. And I'd say about another year, we've got about another year of watching Karula and the cubs. I think we've sadly missed most of their fun time was the early years, early months rather, early years. I suppose the equivalent of the early years, because they were spending a lot of time just west of us on another property. We didn't get to see them as much as the other guides did, and we're hoping to see a lot more of them now. It seems to be that she's spending more time here on our part of the world. So I think we can expect at least another year's worth of fun with them, and then they'll start splitting up. And the one thing that we've got to consider, and it's reaching ahead, it's coming to it's going to reach boiling point in a sense, and that is the density of the population of leopard in this part of the world is getting to be critical, because they are surviving. They are doing phenomenally well. Leopard are, although there are fights and odd leopard is killed here and there, I think the mortality rate isn't quite anywhere near the survival rate of cubs and the birth rate. And we've had a number of leopards giving birth in the last year and losing cubs, and that has a lot to do with the density of the population of leopard. There are a lot of leopard here, simple as that. And especially where Djuma is, where we are, we're right on the top edge of the Sabi Sand. Granted that we are bordering on the likes of Buffelshoek and, well, Buffelshoek's essentially Sabi Sand as well, but we're also bordering on Manyeleti, and some of these leopard can find their way to Manyeleti to establish territories, but there is also a fairly dense population of leopard there too. So we cannot go by anything that is written in a book when it comes to the population of leopard in this part of the world, because nowhere, I think, has study been done on the population of leopards that have reached these proportions. There's some rhino tracks. We will head east again. I want to go west first. Birds. Cindy. Yeah, beautiful. Oh, it's gone. Ah, it's there in a tree. Pretty little bunting. It's called a golden-breasted bunting. Let's see if it'll... No, don't go. Okay, we'll try again. Next bird I see. I mean, there are birds everywhere. It's a matter of finding a bird that's sitting in the open that we can... I feel will sit there and let us zoom in on it. A lot of birds will be there sitting in a tree and it'll be fine until the moment that we stop and we focus on it. And that's part of... Oh, there's a Nyala bull crossing the road. That's part of this thing that I've noticed with creatures as small as mosquitoes and flies and other insects and wasps. Eye contact. Making eye contact with a creature, with a living creature, has an effect, has an impact on that creature. And it's got a lot to do with whether these things think you're going to eat them or not. And in most cases, animals don't really look at each other much. They don't. Hello, Mr. Nyala. He just got a fright. Something in front of him. Bye-bye. Enjoy Buffelshoek. Grass isn't much greener over there, but maybe the leaves are. He couldn't really care less if we're looking at him. But a lot of creatures, when you look at them, they get self-conscious because they think you're looking at them because you're going to hunt them, and they just take the best course of action, which is disappearing. Donna, do we drive these trails at night, these roads? Yes and no. I mean, we have done night drives in the past. At the moment, we are only doing one drive a day. We might get back to doing two. Well, we will be getting back to 2 drives a day soon, I hope. At the moment, with only literally a handful of us in camp. There is only a handful of us. There are 5 of us. Alex is here at the moment, helping with stuff. But he's not going to be here for long. And Alex is busy with, as I say, he's busy with technical stuff. So he doesn't have anything to do with the drives in terms of directing or camera work or anything. So with only a handful of us and a lot of other work to do, we can only take a vehicle out once a day. But there were times when we did do night drives, and there were times when we stayed out into darkness. There are times when we go and visit friends at other lodges that we'll drive these roads at night, but generally no. I mean, generally the vehicles, once the vehicles get back to the lodge around 7:30, of course the vehicles, the guests do a night drive. Their afternoon drive ends with a night drive. They stop for a sundowner, and then their last hour or so of the evening is spent doing a night drive with the light. But generally not, no driving around at night. I sometimes sneak out with my Land Rover on a full moon and go and do something, sit with the hyena, or that's what we were supposed to do. We were supposed to get to the hyena den today as well. We'll try and do that later. If not, we can start there tomorrow. It's just that I had to start where Karula ended yesterday morning, and I know it was wishful thinking she'd still be around, but it was always a possibility. Tambuti Dam. Shirley wants to know if the eagle owl is still around. I'm not too sure which eagle owl, Shirley, but there are eagle owls around. Matter of finding them. I'm going to check tracks here at Mbubu Road now that we do north of the dam. See if there are any signs of leopards in this part of the world. I was also hoping to see if there was any lion activity on Buffalo's cut line. Which is why I want to do Buffalo's cut line a little bit. Hyena. Hyena. And hyena. And elephant. Abel, come in. Ow. Morning, Maya. Yes, I will try and get to the hyena den. I will. Alright, let's go there now. We'll go up to Gallagher Shortcut. Yes. A couple of birds for Cindy. Light's not great. Magpie shrike. Hornbill on the ground and a francolin on the ground. 3 birds. That's the magpie shrike. It's not a magpie, it's just called a magpie shrike. And it's watching the birds on the ground. There's a hornbill on the ground and there's a francolin on the ground. And what it's watching is, it's watching for insects that the other birds might chase that they can't catch. Directly below it in the grass. Yeah, it's flown off. Yeah, we can't see the other birds, they're in the grasses now. Gary gang was here. Who's that? Angusties. Kids, Sorry, Franklin. Morning, Richard and Lisa. Oh, there's an interesting bird. Just flown away. Was a scimitar bull and a small family of white helmet shrikes. Richard and Lisa wanting to know if there have been any non-native species introduced into the reserve and if they've had any impact on the indigenous flora and fauna. Plants, yes, not necessarily introduced, but because these particular plant species have become feral, have become wild, they've escaped, and they have found their way into the reserve. As yet, not having that much of an impact on local flora and fauna. Things like, there's a type of cactus from South America known as Opuntia, or the jointed cactus, also known as prickly pear. Not too much of it, not as much of it as I've seen up in the Timbavati, or as much of it as one can find in other parts of the country. In fact, there are a couple of million acres of Opuntia gone wild in this country, sadly, because some people brought it in for farming for the fruit, making a liqueur and a preserve from the fruit of the prickly pear, as well as the market for the fresh fruit of it. Not that much of a market. But there are other plants like Lantana camara, which is a noxious weed, but it's really a bad plant. It's choking some of the rivers. Things like blackjack, red zinnias, that are not that aggressive, but they do tend to crowd out local grass species. As animals are concerned, not in this part of the world. There are places where fallow deer have been introduced. In Cape Town, one of the animals that had the greatest impact on the Cape, in a particular area on the mountain, actually, on Table Mountain National Park, was the Himalayan tahr. They tried to eradicate the tahr, I think. There's currently a ladybird that has been found in parts of the Cape. I'm not too sure where else in the country, but the harlequin ladybird, a beetle that is voracious, that is causing havoc with local insect species. But I look closely at every ladybird I see to see if there's a harlequin, but so far I haven't found harlequins here. Well. Leopard tracks coming out of Buffelshoek. Going down Buffelshoek cut line. Hyena tracks too. None of the big cats have been around. Take Gallagher shortcut back towards the lodge and the open area, and then we'll cross. Maybe we'll do Zoe's Road and go to Philemon's cut line to the hyena den. That's a good idea. And I try not to get sidetracked, other than having elephants, or actually anything really. Finding anything along the way will sidetrack us somewhat. There have been some hyena tracks here, so we might even see one of the hyenas making its way back to the den. Stop for a bird or two, like that yellow bird that has just flown into a tree ahead. Or pretended to land in the tree and flew off again. I'm not seeing it. Oh, there it goes. They're shy. Welcome, Cindy. There's actually a yellow bird in there and I wanted to see. Wasn't sure what it was. But it wasn't an oriole. Jody, New Mexico. How's New Mexico? Safe from wildfires, perhaps? Anyway, wants to know why hyenas have such short legs at the back. I don't know if it's so much that they have short back legs as much as they have longer front legs. But with the long front legs, very strong shoulder and very strong neck muscles, very strong jaw muscles, that is to allow a hyena to lift up very heavy items like carcasses or the remains of animals and run away with it, take it back to the den, stealing carcasses. I don't know. I can't tell you why the back legs are so short. I'd have to think about it. Often you just have to think about things, observe it for a while, and come to a conclusion, make a logical deduction. I can't think why hyenas would have such short back legs. It's just the way nature made them. But yes, something must have driven the evolutionary process to produce shorter back legs like that. But I think it's more a case of they've just developed very, very large front portion of their body in building up strength to carry carcasses to hunt. To give them the strength to tear at their prey. Kathy, I don't really understand. Do I make my own tea? You mean, do I put my own tea bag in my own cup and make it myself? Or do I pick my own leaves and make my own tea? I'm not... but no, Kathy, no, I buy tea. Like everybody else, we have tea bags. Tea. Where does tea fit into the whole equation on the game drive, Kathy? Apart from the fact that I've got my travel mug, I start off drive now in the cold weather with my cup of tea. Chai. So what do we got on Weirtail Access Road? Hyena tracks. We'll see when we get to Zoe's Road. La na 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 na. Elaine, or Ellen. Elaine, morning to you. Host of questions from Elaine regarding wild dog, and no sign of Karula up here on Rose Road Junction. Hyena have been busy here. In fact, most of these hyena tracks are leading away from the den. Elaine, wild dogs, are they related to domestic dogs? Rhino tracks. It's another thing we were supposed to do this morning. Rhino tracks got some nocturnal animal tracks on top of them, so that means the rhino was here late yesterday. But who knows, might have been sleeping somewhere last night. Well, wild dog, or the African hunting dog, are only related to domestic dogs in that they belong to the family, the canid family. But they split away from the normal dogs, from the genus Canis, above genus at sort of subfamily level. In that they belong to a different genus. So they don't belong to the genus Canis, they belong to a genus all on their own. They're in a group all on their own in the dog family known as Lycaon, and their specific name is Lycaon pictus. Lycaon referring to wolf-like. The tree stump looks like something. Thought it was a buffalo, yeah. New marula stump that I haven't seen before. Quite unique animals, the African wild dog. I wish we could find some tracks of them. But they haven't been around since about January, which might have something to do with the fact that they're going to be denning. This is the time of year when the wild dog den and have pups, and they tend to be a little bit more sedentary and don't cover as much ground when they're pups in the den. Alpha male and female. Well, it's generally, as with all dogs, the females are the leaders, matriarchal. But there is an alpha male, and it's only the alpha couple that produce the pups. Young females eventually, well, a lot of females might leave the pack, join up with other packs, or meet up with nomadic males and form clans of their own. Males will stick around, often a greater proportion of males maybe to females, and they all help with babysitting and hunting and bringing food back to the den, because you can get a lot of pups. I mean, we had a den that had 11 pups in it. A lot of mouths to feed when they start growing. What size animals they kill? Well, they can bring down anything up to wildebeest. I'm not too sure if wild dogs have taken anything larger like buffalo or giraffe, maybe young giraffe. They're a relatively small animal. The wild dog are smaller than leopard, but it's the fact that they live in a clan and they hunt in a group and they work cooperatively that gives them the strength that they have. Now, here's rhino tracks going the other way. Rhino been up and down. Are they dangerous? No. I've spent many hours on foot with wild dog, even hunting. been on the run with them, because when they're hunting you got to run to keep up with them. And I've even been on foot with them in the middle of a hunt, and they look up from their feeding. They don't exactly bark like domestic dogs, but they do have a very gruff alarm call. Most of their vocalization is very high-pitched cackling and just a lot of high-pitched noises that they engage in around the carcass, around each other. I guess in some ways, like hyena, the pitch and tone and volume has got a lot to do with the hierarchy. But as far as I know, there are no known cases of African hunting dog attacking humans. I wonder, if we go into Impala Plains quickly. I know I wasn't going to get sidetracked, but this rhino has his dung too. Quite fresh rhino. Been up and down. Got to be around here somewhere. And there's a younger one too. Oops. Well, maybe later we come to Impala Plains and Impala Road. This looks like there might be rhinos somewhere nearby. They might be lying down somewhere too, we might not see them. T-bear. Have I ever personally saved the life of an animal? And if so, what was it? Oh, a couple of times. I think the one time, I used to live in an area of southern Tanzania that had a huge river and lake system, and in the dry season, the lakes used to dry. Well, the river would drop, obviously, and of course the lakes would recede, and it would leave these vast areas of black cotton soils. Very, very, and black cotton soil, when it gets wet, it's soft clay, spongy clay, but it's a very heavy clay, and animals get stuck in it in their numbers. It's what feeds the crocodiles, it's what feeds some of the older lion that can't hunt. It's a process that's been going on for millions of years. I mean, in fact, I used to see, even on a harsher scale, up in northern Tanzania, in Tarangire, along the Tarangire River areas. No, it wasn't the Tarangire River, it was another river, I forget the name. Anyways, animals stuck in the mud, and it used to break my heart, because there's nothing you can do. If you went to try and help them, well, you'd get killed. But there was once a baby wildebeest that was stuck, and the whole herd, it must have been overnight that it had been stuck in the mud. Somehow the crocodiles hadn't found it, or the lion hadn't heard it, and the poor child had survived the night stuck in the mud. Anyways, I nearly got stuck myself, because that's what happens. It sucks. It creates a vacuum. Rhino have been here, by the way. thought they might be out here in the open area, but they're not. They might also be down on the road. We'll check. We'll go on to Triple M and just check on Triple M. Well, we might as well, since we're here, see what tracks there are around our western boundary main road. Anyways, I eventually managed to get this wildebeest out, and I managed to get myself out of the mud. There was a time when I was living with a big ginger cat named Bob. Magnificent animal. I was living in the Cape for a little while, managing a reserve there. Yeah, these rhino tracks heading on to Triple M. Quite a few of them, actually. Deborah, Florida, just to interject. Franklins haven't gone anywhere, they are around. I'm just not seeing them as much. No, the rhino have all left the building. Sadly. Not all the rhino, just this crash of rhino whose tracks come this way. Anyways, sorry, where was I with something else? Oh, okay, never mind, I guess we're moving on. We tend to see more francolins on the road in the evenings. Now during the day they're off into the grasses and feeding there. But it's late afternoons that we tend to see more francolins in the road. Pair of crown plovers. There used to be a pair of crown plovers. They're flying off to the south now. But there used to be a pair that lived here on this little open patch of grassland. I don't know where they moved to. I don't know if that's they, them, they. Those are they. They might have come from up on Impala Road, but they're an early warning system. When they're crown plovers flying like that, means that wherever they've been on whatever open area, they've been disturbed by a predator. I guess there are other times when I've saved things and have to think about it. I remember saving a skink, a Cape skink, from this cat that I lived with. Sadly, she had died already, the skink. Bob had eaten the front part of her, but she was pregnant, and the Cape skink gives birth live, and I think there were 6 youngsters, if I'm not mistaken, in her stomach. There were 6 youngsters that I pulled out of the remains of this lizard. 3 of them were dead, but 3 of them I actually managed to revive and set them free after a day. Set them free in the vegetable garden, hoping that they lived full and happy lives in the vegetable garden. Saved birds. I'm always saving creatures from swimming pools. Always. Every time I'm at a swimming pool. It's like an obsession. I go to a swimming pool, and I see what's floating on the surface. And I can't stand to see things struggling, even if they flies or well, any insect. Shrews, mice. What have I pulled from pools? Snakes, lizards, bushbuck. Sadly, one bushbuck and one swimming pool I couldn't save. A child had drowned. That was when I was still at school. I was still a kid. I was only about 14. And we were on a field trip. Actually, it wasn't so much a field trip as much as it was a paramilitary nightmare week called field school. And it was pseudo-military, the way they treated us. Middle of winter, was freezing cold. Anyways, I was the only one that had any knowledge or interest in animals, so I was the one that dived into the pool and fished out this bushbuck that had drowned. Poor child. Zoe's Road. Hello, pretty tree. It's that pretty torchwood, Balanites. It's like an enchanted tree. It's almost something that you'd find in a fairy tale with all those twists and flutes and bends and come alive with all sorts of mystical creatures at night. Mystical and mythological. My first attempt, no, not my first attempt, I was already saved things by then, but my first pet snakes. I'd nagged my mother for, I don't know how many years to get a pet snake, and I think it was about 7, maybe 7 years old or something. Maybe it was a bit older. Rhino was sleeping here before they went away. Bush is opening up, and soon we're going to be able to see nice and far down here in this view from Zoe's Road, looking out over Philemon's Dip and right up onto Cheetah Cutline in the distance. Never mind. Michael in Michigan, wanting to know what group of animals a hyena belongs to, whether it's the canines or the felids. Well, I think it's just been reclassified recently under a branch of the felids, but not quite a cat. It's based on, I think, a bone in the ear or something to do with some part of the skeleton. Tara's the academic, so she knows better than me. Yeah, leopard tracks heading south, interestingly. Yeah, I think you could say that hyenas, well, I mean, they're closer related to, I guess, the mongoose family, but some subfamily of the cats, I think. Detroit, you mean Detroit? Seb? Okay, I forgive you. Seb is French, so I can imagine why Seb would read Detroit as Detroit. How did you pronounce it? Detroit. Detroit. I suppose it probably was a French name, and then in Americans called it Detroit. Because what is it? Has it got a meaning in French, by the way? Karula was here. With different spelling, it would be 2, 3, 2, 3. But yes, Lily, maybe you can tell us, where does the name Detroit come from? And was it French once upon a time? But Lily in Detroit. Alright, now what was the question? Okay. Lily was asking, let me think, I'll remember it. What we do during the day after morning safari, what are our other duties? Scripting and voiceover work, and well, the guy's doing a lot of editing. More rhino tracks. Maybe those rhino, because we're not too far from Triple M, we're just further south from where they were. Maybe they came back onto the property and then moved south. But there was a leopard here that also could have been Karula. There's also a leopard here. Well, Lily, I'm not too sure how much I can talk about what we do. Just that we have a lot of work to do and not enough time to do it in. We have deadlines for things and keeps us busy. Daniel was busy until, what was it, 2 o'clock in the morning the other night. Sometimes we've had Seb and Herman up all night, working in shifts. Everybody's heading south. I'm sure it's the same rhino that were on Triple M, and they must have crossed back onto this property and they're sort of walking like this towards the south. So we'll just check on Gowrie Main quickly, our southern boundary, to see, yeah, the tracks are here too. Also just to see if there are these leopard tracks here. Maybe these leopard tracks have gone down Filament Cut Line. But it looked like Karula on her own. I wonder if she kept her Dacre kill or she lost it. There the rhino tracks go there. Yep. There's 1, 2, 3, at least 4 rhino that's crossed south. The grey shape I'm seeing is a fallen marula tree, but no, the tracks do go there. But not any sign of them. So it was No, that's just way too much information. But got a lot of information coming in about Detroit, 1701, 24th of July. It was a French missionary outpost, and it's developed into one of the largest cities in the States. And a lot of information on. So it is French, was French. That has been given an English spin to the name. Okay, now that leopard track, I had fresh leopard tracks on Gary Main further back, possibly crossed in this side, possibly the same cat was coming down Zoe's Road. I know, I promise not to get sidetracked. I'm not sidetracked, we're still on our way to the hyena den. We are, I promise, we are. Didn't copy any of that, Seb. You're breaking up. The microphone's cutting out. Sandy. Breaking up. Yeah, boy. Sandy, gosh, what a question. What's my final goal? There's no final goal at all. Do I want to stay a guide? Do I want to manage a lodge or a reserve? Or do I want to get married? Sandy, I just want to get through today. That's all I want. I just want to have a nice day today. Go to sleep tonight. I'll wake up tomorrow and decide tomorrow what the goal will be tomorrow. I've managed reserves. I've spent 20 years managing lodges. I don't consider myself a guide. At the moment, I suppose in a way I'm guiding you. I don't know I'm a naturalist that's just found a way to live my passion for the time being. I don't know. There was a woodpecker I was going to show you, but it's got chased away by a fork-tailed drongo and both disappeared. Sandy, I have a somewhat of a different life to most people. I wouldn't be able to explain it to you. Marriage, I don't know, really. I don't see it in my future, immediate future. I don't know if I want to go back into lodge management or managing a camp or maybe a reserve. Maybe one day go back into finding a private reserve to manage or a private property within a reserve to manage. I don't know. I chose to come to Wild Earth Safari because it was a new avenue for me. It's opened up new doors, well, new skills, new way of life in terms of broadcasting and filming, and nowadays with what the kind of work we're doing, writing scripts and doing voiceover, I'm hoping that helps the company grow. I've still got a lot of faith in what we do, and I'm very confused with these rhino because there were tracks of them crossing, yet here are tracks heading towards, well, it's only one, two, mother and child. This is the baby. They must have split off from the group. They came this way, heading towards the hyena den at Treehouse Dam. Little rhino tracks. Adult rhino track, baby rhino track. Love to see this little one. But I really have a hard time seeing future, seeing further down the line than the next few days. Fresh rhino dung. Very, very warm rhino dung, which means that rhino are not far away. Elizabeth wants to know if I've ever had a run-in with a poacher. Yes, I have. Not here in South Africa, but up in East Africa, because I used to help the authorities with anti-poaching patrols. These rhino could be just off the road somewhere, but we're not seeing them. Yesterday, I think if we were here yesterday, we would have seen rhino, because there are tracks here that are up and down, and here they've been sleeping in the road again. I think there's probably been quite a lot of rhino here, because there are tracks of 4 of them crossing, yet here are tracks of a big bull, plus there are tracks of a cow and a calf. So we'll hang around this area for a while. Go to the hyena den, have a look at Treehouse Dam. What should we do first? Treehouse Dam or the hyena den? There again, sleeping in these mitre drains where the soft sand is, these rhino. Little steenbok. Stay there, steenbok, please. Oh, she's gone already. I wanted to see if that was the one that had the half ear. I haven't seen that steenbok for a long time. Hello, Wendy. Interesting observation, Wendy. Noticing that there are not too many rocks on the ground. And yes, that's right, Wendy. So we have very deep sandy soils here. And there simply aren't that many rocks in this part of the world. There are, geologically, we're above a hello Impala. The area is dominated by granite base, basalt intrusions, quartz and granite. I've forgotten a lot of it. I mean, I've got a lot in my, how can I put it? I used to be able to talk at length about the geology, and I have to be honest, not using it for so long, I'd have to think about it and reread up about it. But it's not a very rocky area. There are rocky outcrops in the western part of the Sabi Sand, well, and the central part, come to think of it, where granite is pushed up and made what we call koppies, granite outcrops. Hello, Laurie. Hyena den doesn't seem to have anybody at it. Oh, there's an elephant here. Anybody home? Anybody home? Emerald spotted wood dove on the ground in front of us. Pardon?
Might even be another den in that termite mine.
That one. There might be. Oh, there's a dove on the ground. Might get, if it moves into a little patch of sunlight, might actually get the sun glistening off those emerald spots there as it turned on its wing. It actually more than 2 spots, but when the wings are closed properly it just looks like 2. They're a bunch of little feathers that have the most gorgeous little emerald spots on them. The call of the emerald spotted wood dove is a very very soothing call, and it's also a very typical call that you might even hear during the heat of the day. And there are tire tracks going to that big termite mound, so we'll follow them. Daniel was saying that there might be more of a den down there. The termite mound. No, these tracks don't go very far. But there's no den here. There won't be a den where there's so much grass. If you notice how much the grass has been flattened, how open the ground is. There's some times when this hyena den is active at this time of the morning, and there are times when it isn't. A lot of hyena tracks were on Philemon's cut line. Oh well, tomorrow. Munzu. Oh, I'd go through all the tomorrows again. I just had a deja vu moment because I've done that, I think, more than once, driving away from the den. Tomorrow. Laurie, can I ask you a question? Glad you're enjoying the drives, Laurie. Oh, Rooibos, yes. That's right. Laurie was saying when she was here in South Africa, she tasted Rooibos tea. She wants to know if it grows wild, and if so, can I show you one? It does grow wild, but unfortunately not here, Laurie. Only in the Cape, part of the Cape Fynbos. No rooibos growing here. There's actually another plant called honeybush. It's also a lovely tea. In fact, I think next time I'm in town I must buy myself some honeybush. I'm a little bit over rooibos. I've been drinking rooibos religiously. Well, the only hot beverage that I was drinking. Well, I used to occasionally have a green tea, but for about 10 more years now, I've been drinking rooibos and I just kind of got tired of the taste. So nowadays all I drink is green tea, and I think I must buy myself some honeybush, which is also an indigenous plant that's made into a commercial tea. I have to be careful of some of the teas. I think some things that I can't have. Some herbs and some plants that are not good for me. And of course I can't have caffeine, so I can't have normal tea. Rooibos is probably one of the best in terms of antioxidants, in terms of its health and benefits. And there's so many products that are made out of rooibos. In fact, there are a lot of skin products that are made with rooibos extract because of its high level of antioxidants. The hyena tracks going away from the den. It might have been as they were leaving last night. We're going to go to Treehouse Dam. We're going to have a look at Treehouse Dam. I haven't been past Treehouse Dam for some time now, actually. Come to think of it. Richard and Lisa made an observation the other day. Can pull my hair out, I tell you. Sorry, not Richard and Lisa. I'm talking about just seeing tree stumps like that. Oh, elephant! I spy with my little eye something beginning with E. E for elephant. Okay, we're going to the dam first. Maybe he's coming this way. Looks like a young bull, maybe. Which means that there's the rest of them. I was about to say it means the rest of the herd might be somewhere here. And they're on our left. So that young bull on our right. Let's go down onto Elephant Skull Road. They're all hanging out here by this dead tree with the orchid in it. I love elephants. I love elephants. The big dead tree, there where my tip of my finger is, there's a big tree orchid. Hello everybody. Didn't seem to be too enthusiastic in saying hello back. That's okay, I understand. You all talk in infrasound and I didn't hear you. Yeah, I understand. There's one coming further. Little one. You're bringing me a branch. Hello, little boy. You chew with your mouth full. Lovely. Okay, we're gonna try and get into an area where we can see them better. Sorry, Richard, Diane, talking about a bird that they noticed on the back of a zebra the other day, wanting to know what bird it was and what was it doing there. They're called oxpeckers, Richard, Lisa. And they comb the hair of the animals and take ticks feed on ticks, fleas if they find them, mites, flies. They actually also will lick at the blood of a wound. Sometimes they will keep a wound open to attract flies and maybe maggots. Little boy chewing the bark of the round leaf teak. We'll stop and find you some oxpeckers later. There are a couple of other birds that sit on animals' backs. We'll talk about that in a minute. Hello. Trying to intimidate me, but he's too small for me to be intimidated. In East Africa I've seen oxpeckers on elephants, but also we find the egrets ride on the backs of elephants. I've never seen that here in South Africa. Don't know why. It's just a character trait of the egrets in East Africa. The big mama just behind this termite mound. We'll see if we can get to see her. I'm going to try and get to the eastern side, as the light is so much better looking at them with the sun behind them. Another cow and calf and a small family group ahead of us. There's no way through there. I don't know if we're going to get east of them. Interesting question from Annette. Do animals know if a plant is poisonous or not? I guess they do, Annette, for some reason. You know, the one thing that you've got to remember is that in the process of feeding, in mammals in particular, who feed on plants, this is my theory, I don't know, I haven't been able to prove it. See if we can get to this matriarch. I remember discussing this with some of the ladies on some of our viewers who have had children and who have breastfed their children. And this is E. Don't worry, I'm just coming through. Don't worry. I'm going to come in. Okay, relax, children. I'll stop now. All these herbivores that we see, the taste of the plants that they feed on must relate to flavors of them, or there must be compound, there must be something in a mother's milk that makes a child recognize something as food. In other words, with her chewing on the bark, let's say, for an extended period of time, she's taking these branchlets of the round leaf teak. In fact, the moment most of these elephants around us are feeding on the round leaf teak at the moment. They'll probably move on to grasses a little bit later. And the moment, see, she's got one in her mouth and she's already picking the next one, and she's going to pick it at the base, and all the way up to the first fork she'll twist it in her mouth, chew all the bark off of it. Now that's got to have some influence on her milk, and there's got to be something in her milk that when her child tastes bark for the first time, there's going to be some sort of recognition there that this is something that mom was eating. Apart from the fact that it's watching mom eat it, and with elephant it's a learning process. With elephant, almost everything about their lives is a learning process. It's just constant teaching. Every day is school day for young elephants right into their teens, and they learn what they can eat and what they can't eat. But I'm saying that in the period before they're feeding and before they've gotten to the point where they can learn to use their trunk and they're picking food and watching mom, when they're only really interested in milk, there's got to be something that they get, and there's got to be some way that the brain processes it, that this is food or this isn't food. But there is also got to be some way that animals instinctively know whether they can eat a plant or not. Something we humans don't have, but I'm sure there's got to be something. Which is why animals don't eat poisonous plants and get sick, unless they're domestic animals that don't know, because for some reason they don't have that anymore. Anyone out on drive? No, I got a couple of birds around us. There's one just on our left here, and on top of that round-leaf teak. Been watching Mama Elephant breaking the branches. Where is it? There it is, in the middle of those two elephants. That's a bird. It doesn't really sit on the animals, but it all follows the large animals. Now, I was saying that the egrets sit on the elephants, partly because they will eat ticks off of the elephant, but also because as the elephants move through the grasses, they chase a lot of insects, and the best place for a bird to launch itself from is an elephant's back. But the drongos, on the other hand, these little fork-tailed drongos, they just sit in the trees around the elephants and they follow them for the same reason. There is a lot greater chance of catching insects with so many large animals moving through the grass. They can feed a lot better than if there were no large animals. Sometimes we have, especially now going into the dry season, we'll have these fork-tailed drongos following us when we're off-road. Real clowns, those little birds. Wonderful mimics. Can sing anybody's song. Last station, go again. Mark here, Wild Earth.
Morning, Mark. It's Paul here. I was just down to Wheeler, getting into Rio Taylor, with some Little Gary driveway. I just wanted to know if I can follow.
I don't think any of the Voyage guys are out, but yeah, please do. I'll come and join you. So that's Weaver's Nest, confirmed. Excellent. I'll be there shortly. So the leopard tracks I found on Zoe's Road and Gowrie Main have now turned into a leopard. It's just coming off Gowrie Main. If we'd stayed on Gowrie Main, we might have found it. Obviously been on and off the road. Not far from us. It's only about 200 meters away. Down Weaver's Nest. Where's Weaver's Nest? I'm just trying to think. Little Gowrie driveway would be Bum Road, I think. Phil, come in.
Anybody go?
There, those little old pans on the right hand side as you come onto Gowrie.
Of Gowrie Main and Little Gowrie driveway. Getting north to the right.
Okay, copy. So that's where the Little Gowrie sign is.
Yeah, there's the apron right there.
Okay, copy. Thanks. We'll make our way past Treehouse Dam and head up to see if we can see Karula. Sorry, Seb. time for the clutch to go. Steph in England, morning to you. When elephants eat a branch, they always eat it from the same side. Because you hear they can be left or right-handed, well, left or right tusked. Well, the way they use their tusks doesn't really have much to do with the way they feed, or rather eat with their mouth, because the tusk is used to break branches and things. But yeah, I would say most likely. I've never really looked at it. I've watched elephants and ascertained whether they eat, or rather whether they use their left or right tusk, but I haven't really thought about watching whether they put a branch in on the left or put a branch in from the right side of their mouth. But that's something to observe. Interesting observation. I would think that maybe yes, maybe they would. I suppose in a way as well, it does have something to do with which tusk they use to break a branch. Yeah, I guess it would have something to do with it. Yeah, I'm going to have to stop here quickly. Just top up clutch fluid. Because if we're going to get to Karula, I can just have a look around Treehouse Dam, see if there's anything here. Don't want to be stuck with Karula and no gears. Oh, it's a jasmine flowering. Go ahead. Okay, copied. Was she heading north? Okay, copied. So I should have known she was heading east because that's which way her tracks were going. But Phil's lost her with a squirrel. Did your mother teach you not to run in the road? Guess not, eh? Squirrels don't have any road sense. Joe! Go square. Haven't heard from you for a while. Hope you're well. Hope we're going to find Karula. How old is a young rhino when it leaves its mother? Probably about 3.5, 4. Depends, male or female. Young bull, probably about 3.5, 4. Young cow maybe doesn't leave mom. Although, come to think of it, generally when mom's going to have a new calf, she tends to push the other one away. Okay, now Karula is not far from us. She's been lost. In other words, they can't find her again. She was heading east. Just south of us she was heading east. At the quarry. Off of Gari Main. Here are impala. She would be east of these impalas. That's the group. I relate, boys, I relate. It's a nice impala there. We're not stopping this yet. Okay, there's full tracks going off road. I think that's that is vehicle there. The quarry. Looks like it's just I think there might be 2 vehicles in there now. Oh no, he came out here and then he's turned around and gone back that way. Right, we're going to just go a little bit further east. There's a rhino. Go ahead.
What's the buck now, Mark?
I'm just east of you, just picked up on Combi.
Okay, copy. Can't relocate there. Yeah, I'm going to try. But God, it's really straight and slow. It's like an old quarry truck. Sorry, I'm not familiar with this area. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, yeah, I think I just passed you at that quarry. I'm going to just stay here. This call me big male. Yeah, just off of the cut line. See if we can hear any birds or something.
Okay, copy that. Thank you very much, Mark.
Okay, thanks, Phil. He's a very big horn, this rhino. He seems a bit nervous. Karula, come on out. Okay, rhino, why don't you come out? Look at the size of him. Sure, that's a big horn. Go ahead.
Mark, I'm going to pull out of the area. Thank you very much. I don't know where you can get here. Right here.
Well, thanks anyway.
Thank you very very much. Have a great day.
You too. There he comes. He's fighting.
I'll be closing back towards the
Phil, if you stop there, turn around, see what I got here.
Hey, have you got any?
No, just this big Nkombi coming out onto the road.
Okay, copy that. Thank you.
That's a big rhino. And he's a bit nervous. Could be because there's scent of a predator, even though he's in no danger from a predator. Okay, let's get back onto the road and try and get closer to him. Karula might actually be making her way down towards Treehouse Dam by now, if she's not coming back onto Gari Main. But she's somewhere in this vicinity. We're going to lose him south of the road. But you see the way he's walking, he's like he's trying to pick up on a scent trail of something, maybe an other rhino. That's why it can get so confusing with... Yeah, he's nervous. He's a beautiful rhino. Unfortunately, of course, the one thing that ruins the shot of the power lines, we can't help it. We're humans, and we're living in an area where we need to bring power. So this brings the main. This is the main electrical line coming into the Sabi Sand. He's going into the quarry too, so let's follow him. Where Karula has been only minutes ago. And he's now doubling back to where he was a few minutes ago. See, that's why rhino, you've got to get out of the vehicle and follow their tracks. You can't just follow their tracks on the road. Bye bye, Rhino. There's not much we can do if I'm not even sure whereabouts she was, just that she was making her way towards this quarry and then she disappeared. She could be lying down, but she does sometimes. She might have crossed through onto the road that we came up from the dam, or she might make her way back onto Gowrie Main. Anything we can do. Just look around. Mitzi, morning to you. We missed the kill, well, the Karula yesterday with the kill. Why did she not take it up a tree? Mitzi saying she thought leopards take their kills up a tree, take it away from hyenas and lions. Mitzi, nature isn't one of those things that goes by very strict rules. There are always exceptions, and we've noticed on more occasions than not our Karula killing something. Now there are tracks going in here. It must have been where they saw. So yes, I'd say she's making her way down towards the dam. Went through there, and then she'll probably, good chance we'll find her on that road. It's not a rule. It's not a. I'm wondering if she's not lying somewhere in the grasses, watching these impala, waiting for a moment to strike. We need to check some of these big termite mounds off the road. When Karula's fairly confident that there are no hyena or lion around, she doesn't necessarily take her kill into a tree, especially hunting this time of the morning. More often than not, the hyenas are back at their den sleeping by now. We have seen at times that they have been around mid-morning. Uses less energy not having to take it into a tree, and if there are no potential scavengers or there's no potential danger, there's no need to take it into a tree. Rory wants to know if I can estimate the weight of that rhino. Maybe 2.5 tons. 3 tons. Maybe not 3. Franklin making a little bit of noise up ahead. Not really alarming badly, but making a little bit of noise. Not at 9, I think at the end of drive. Karula, wherefore art thou? She hasn't come out onto this road yet. It's been some time since she was seen. A very distinct game path that comes in here. Then I've noticed the sticks come into the dam on this pathway because it goes straight down to the dam. I would have thought that maybe she'd come in on that path. But she didn't. If she's still walking east, she might we'll go, if we keep at this pace, we might find her on Weaver's Nest. Something just chased Franklin's on the other side. Maybe she's been here already. worth a try. No tracks of hers here though. Yet. Sorry, Seb didn't copy. Which animal? No, no. Sorry, this is breaking up too much. Can't hear you. Mary, and which animal something? Which animals eat from the termite mound? You mean the termites, Mary, or the termite mound itself? Humans eat termite mound, the actual clay part of it. Let's take a look, see down Weaver's Nest to Gari May, and then we'll come back, and we have to go to the dam. We might just have to give up on Karula. There's been a warthog here. Karula food. Lone young warthog walking along the road. So many things eat termites if they're exposed, if the termite mound is exposed. But the animals that break into it the most are things like aardvark and Birch's kukel. Bye-bye, kukel. Sitting so nicely in the sun. That's the warthog. The tracks I saw. Standing in the thicket. There's some snakes that will eat the termites. I mentioned the little thread snake earlier. They eat termites. Lizards, geckos, birds, shrews, no doubt. There's a species of ant that specializes in termites. But I'm not too sure what you meant, Mary. Okay, we need to move. I want to get to Gari Main and thinking that maybe she's doing the rounds of her territory again and she's going to be maybe back on the road. She isn't, and we just have to try and catch up with her again tomorrow. Don't know any more words. Interesting bug on the bonnet. Because it is a bug. It's a real bug. Related to the cicadas and the sapsuckers. Kudu tracks. Didn't check to see if she'd passed here yet on the Firebird. She might have done that. Hasn't come this far on Gary Main. Looked like she came back onto the road at all. So she turned in and she's gone into this block. At some point she will come out on Weaver's Nest or Treehouse Dam. There's the rhino. The rhino's still wandering around the road backwards and forwards like a poor lost soul, looking for lost love. Corrugation. Mary's tracks, turning in circles, coming across the road, going back, coming across, going back. We'll leave you be, Mr. Rhino. Can't need to get little Gary anyway. That's why we can get so confused with tracks sometimes, because the very thing. Rhino looking for other rhino, turning in circles. Guess to give up. Have to reach a point where I give up. And the sooner the better, because it can get to the point where I'm so intent on finding something. Then know how well we can zoom on it, but way in the distance, funny enough, a cheetah cutline junction with some zebra. No, it's stood off, gone off the road now. Oh, they're just on the left at the power line, some zebra and impala. There are a couple of other zebra on the road, but they've crossed to the south. There we go, crossing now in the distance. Zebra coming on. That's cheetah cutline where those zebra are. A little open patch of land, little grassland. It's got to be at least a mile away. Almost 2 kilometers. You could also see the signs at the junction with cheetah cutline. Okay, let's make our way back to the middle of the world, our little square of bushveld. I wonder where she left her children, Karula. She's on the big walkabout. By now she could be at Twin Dams already. I haven't seen tracks crossing. Tracks crossing Weaver's Nest yet. She could be lying down, she could be sleeping, she could be any number of things. Cat doesn't want to be seen, there's not much you can do about it. Elephant's still down there, they would have gone by now. Gone down to Twin Dams Road. I know, we didn't spend enough time with elephants. We got to see a rhino. Sorry, doves. Excuse me. Tomorrow is another day. Unzuku nakona irwe nasik. Oh, there's a bird circling in the sky. Thermals are starting. Warmer air currents. We'll go via Telepan. Bachelor eagle turning circles. About, anyway, about 100, 150 feet. The fact that it is turning circles and it's pretty much in the same place means that it's looking at something, because Bachelor tend to fly. They do a sort of a grid pattern the way they fly. See if we can get to see it. We'll be looking into the sun. Clunk. Very distinctive wing shape of the Bateleur. Relatively broad wings. A very typical thing of the adult Bateleur, and hopefully we'll see it when it turns. Turn, child. Is the lack of a tail. Alright, that wing beat is also very typical of a Bateleur. You don't get other eagles doing that in that fashion. Yeah, but as long as it's flying away from it, it's finished turning circles, so it's now flying its grid looking for something else, because whatever it was looking at here didn't pan out, obviously. So it's flying on further. But the other very... Oh, here's a Bateleur right here in the tree. There might be something around here, you know. Because although the Bateleur is a snake eagle, how's that? We've been trying to follow a Bateleur in the sky, and we just happened to have one in a tree next to us. No, neither of us saw until the other one disappeared. But they are scavengers, although they're snake eagles and they're very competent hunters. They're one of the few eagles that scavenge. So I wonder if there isn't something nearby. That could be the reason why this Bateleur is here. Lighting isn't great because we're almost looking into the sun, so we're not able to see the colouring and the markings of these birds, but they're the most striking of all eagles. Red beak and red feet. Really beautiful looking birds. Could have been why the other one was circling, was because this one was perched in a tree. The other one was circling to see why this one was perched. And then not finding anything of interest, moving on, which is what we're going to do. Shimungwe in Shangaan. Shimungwe. How bad can the fires be, and what is done to prevent them? Well, as you can see, this particular area hasn't seen a fire for quite some time. If anything, it actually needs a fire because the grasses are getting so dense. They're going to start strangling fresh growth in the new season. And a fire would actually, in some cases, do quite good for an area. That could be quite good. There's a buffalo at Chelapan. So this is a quick morning to a buffalo at Chelapan. Let's go here quickly. But I'm on a bit of a deadline. Oh, the heron flies away. Lucky heron, still flying. Unlike another heron. His feathers been grounded forever. Except the feathers that I put behind my seat. I'll fly those feathers again one day. From my Land Rover. Hello, Buff. How many animals have we seen standing next to that jackalberry in the water? Over time. Misha and Induna fighting over a terrapin, elephant, rhino, buffalo. Mark catching frogs at night. And there's the oxpecker. The ever-present, ubiquitous oxpecker. Of course it's hiding now because I'm talking about it. Come into the sun, oxpecker. Lily, in Detroit. Have I ever lived in any other continent, and what animals did I like there? Well, I can't say I lived there, but I spent a number of months in the States. About 9 months, 10 months. I was in Europe for a couple of months, but that was winter, so I didn't see any animals there. A couple of spiders in the basement where the washing machine was when I was in Austria. Let's move on. Sorry, Mr. Buffalo. We have a deadline. We have to be somewhere at 9:30 and it's getting closer to the time. Bye, Buffalo. Enjoy your day, Squire. Oh, the cock flying away. Bachelier is coming back. Still circling. I wonder if there's not a leopard kill somewhere in there. Interesting. Buffalo tracks. What animals did I like in... Sorry? What animals did I like? Late for a very important date. I'm late for a very important date. Where did that come from? No, was it My Fair Lady? Pardon? No, I'm saying. I said I'm late because we're supposed to be somewhere right now at the dam, and then this thing came. You know me. This sort of lateral thinking. Isn't it My Fair Lady? Oh, it's Alice in Wonderland. Was the Mad Hatter? No, it was the Hare. It was the Hare. I'm late for a very important day. Yes. With his pocket watch. For a minute there I thought it was Oh, the other one was get me to the church on time. That's why I was thinking about My Fair Lady. Yes, I'm late. But I was saying, when Lily was asking when I was in the States, and I'm sorry, Lily, I didn't come to Detroit. Giraffe tracks. Let's see. I found bighorn sheep interesting because I joined up with, what was her name? Helen Rosenberg, Ruben. I forget. She was doing a PhD on bighorn sheep, and Sandy was my girlfriend at the time. Hello, Nyala. How about Nyala? Sandy was a vet who had studied at UC Davis, which of course is probably one of the best veterinary schools. And she had given up her practice for a time. She also used to practice at a private animal collection near San Luis Obispo, near, I don't know, was it San Bernardino County or something? With some of the big cats. Anyways, we joined up on this bighorn sheep study. We did the same thing with the bat study. I wanted to see mountain lion. I think, of course, mountain lion intrigued me one of the most. And bears, I didn't see any bears, but they also would have intrigued me the most because they are just animals that are just so different to ours. Bears in particular. I mean, the mountain lion, different story because they're a large cat. But didn't get to see them. I got to see white-tailed deer. The possums were funny, and I managed to see a skunk and a raccoon. Strange animals. Marmots. When we got to the campsite in Yosemite, there were marmots sunning themselves on the rocks the next morning. I was quite fascinated. Of course, the bird life was phenomenal, and I loved some of the insect and spiders and reptiles, but they're very similar. You know, they aren't really insects, reptiles, snakes, and things that are that different. Well, snakes, yes. Didn't see too many of those. Did see one big snake once. We were skiing at Lake San Antonio. No, or was it Lake Nacimiento? Yeah, it was Lake Nacimiento. We used to go water skiing quite a lot. And there were some grackles and cowbirds and things all shouting, and I went and found this big snake. I can't remember what it was because I couldn't identify it because it was a strange country. The newts. We were hiking in Nicene Marks National State Park up in the mountains, and in the mountain streams were newts, fire-belly newts. Phenomenal creatures, but also because I used to keep newts as a kid in my fish tank. So to see them in the wild was incredible. And then waterbuck. We've made it to the dam. And the reason why we have come to the dam is because I need to show you something. Well, I suppose it would have been better, easier if we had been on the other side. Hello, waterbuck. Gosh, look at all of you. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14 cows, 14 and one bull. They're not all cows because there are some young males there. With that one impala ram. We saw him the other day feeding amongst these waterbuck. Now, at the request of Pete Bart and my bosses and the powers that be, we're ending up here at Gowrie Dam for a reason. And quite an auspicious occasion today. Hello, hippo. I don't know. I'm going to try and get to show you something. Go in here. Little termite man. We saw him in Duna. One of his first kills was killing a mongoose here. But that tambuti tree above us is a new item here at Gowrie Dam, and that is the new waterhole camera Djuma waterhole camera, which will be going online. Excuse me, today. No, just when I need to be talking, I've got a dry throat.
Hey, they're filming us, filming them.
They're filming us, filming them. Now, what makes it such an auspicious occasion is not so much that it's going online again. Of course, everybody's been waiting for that. But what makes it so special is that from now on, the camera is going to be controlled by some of the viewers. And I think that is going to be quite an incredible thing. Very much like it is at Pete's Pond. So as we sign off here from Djuma Game Reserve, from our Wild Earth Safari drive, you can log on to Djuma's website and the Djuma waterhole cam on the Djuma website. That will no longer be on our Wild Earth Safari website. That is going to be on the Djuma's website, I think. Oh, it will be. Sorry. It is on. Of course, it's on our. It's part of us. Of course, it's on our website. The same as Pete's Pond is on our website. So you'll be able to go onto Wild Earth, and in the drop-down menu, you will find Djuma waterhole camera, and the hippo. Funny enough, just quite incredibly, they're all facing the camera. They're all lined up in front of the camera. It's almost as though they know that this is going to be happening. So well done to everybody that has been involved in this. I know Daniel and Craig and Pete Bright, who's been here, and Seb. I've had very little to do with it, I'm afraid to say. I was on leave when a lot of it was happening, so I didn't have anything to do with digging of holes and moving it. It's been a bit of a nightmare getting it back up where we had it. It was where we were going to put it. The tree, we'll see that another time, I guess. It's directly behind us, the trees that were blown over in the storm just as we were about to get the camera going. But finally, everything's up and running. So if I'm on camera, hello everybody on camera, and bye-bye to everybody on this camera. It's been a wonderful morning. Thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for all the questions. Been fun questions this morning. Had a great time. Elephant, lovely big rhino. Sorry we couldn't find Karula. We can do that tomorrow. Always another day tomorrow. My name is Mark. Daniel's been on camera, and Seb has been in final control. From all of us here at Wild Earth Safari, take care, good night, goodbye, have a wonderful day. Friday, have a wonderful weekend. Bye.